Write the shorthand exercise number 13. Exercise number 13. Write it. Para number 1. Write it. Para number 1. Time plays an important part in every action of every person throughout the day, comma, yet time is something about which we we know very little and about which we understand even less. Full stop. If, comma, in our desire to understand a little better the really meaning of time, comma, we read a modern book on the subject, comma, it is probably the experience of many of us that we understand it even less at the end of our reading than at the beginning dash that we know, comma, indeed, comma, very little about the world in which we living, full stop. We read, comma, for example, comma, that everything that has been still is, comma, that everything which is to come in the future already exists, full stop. We read that the events which make up life are like the stations along the railway line, full stop. The train is running along that line towards one of these stations, full stop. It reaches the station, comma, it perhaps waits there for a very little while, comma, and then it passes on, comma, leaving the station behind it, full stop. But the station existed before the train reached it and it continues to exist after the train is left it, full stop. In the same way, comma, it is said that, comma, the things which happen in life are there all the time waiting for us to reach them, full stop. We reach them and experience them and pass on, comma, leaving them behind us, full stop. According to the writers of these modern books, comma, these events exist before we knew of them and will continue to exist when we ourselves are meaning, full stop. They will exist, comma, in fact, comma, for as long as anything as we understand it exists, full stop, full stop, full stop. Write the exercise number 13, 13. Para number 2. Write it. We read these statements and think carefully about them, comma, and at first it seems that the statements cannot be true, comma, that we cannot seriously be expert to believe them, full stop. Then, comma, perhaps, comma, we remember some of the things we were told as children and which we have always believed to be true, full stop. As children, we learned that many of the little points of light which appeared above so at night are really great bodies which are millions of miles away from the earth, full stop. Light, comma, we were we were told, comma, moves, comma, at the rate of about 116 106 186 186,000 miles a second, comma, so far distant are these bodies from us that the light which we see coming from them is the light which left them thousands, comma, and now some cases millions, comma, of years ago, full stop. Because of this fact, comma, we learned, we learned, comma, if we could discover some method by which our I I was eyes I was could see what happened what was happening on one of these distant bodies, comma, we should see not what is happening today but what was happening age and age ago, full stop. If people something like ourselves lived on those little points of light and if they could see would, what was happening on our earth, them, comma, looking at so looking at us today, comma, with would see not what is happening now but what happened thousands or millions of years ago, comma, according to the distance they are away, full stop. But even when we remember these facts, facts, it is for most of us difficult to get more than the smallest suggestions of a idea of what is meant 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 when we are told that everything that has been still is and always will be full stop. It is difficult to believe that there will always be somewhere the picture of beyond as you sit reading these words these words full stop. Write the shorthand exercise number 13 13 para number 3 teen. Write it. If we think of sound, it helps us to understand this point a little better. Full stop. We see movement, we see a movement very much more quickly than we hear the sound resulting from that moving comma for sound comes to us at only 1100 feet a second is against the 186,000 miles a second of light. Full stop. Let's say that of leave half a mile from a big manufacture plant, comma, so that the sounds which come to me from the plant reach me about 2.5 second after the sounds were in fact made. Full stop. Let's so let's so also that you that beyond leave another half a mile down the road, comma, away from the plant. Full stop. You you would hear the same sounds 2.5 second after I heard them, comma, that was 5 second after they were made. Full stop, full stop, full stop. Write the shorthand exercise number 14 14 error number 1. Write it. You would therefore make the statement that a certain sound took place at comma say comma 5 seconds past the hour, comma I would say that it happened at about 2 or 3 seconds past the hour, comma while the people at the works would so say that it took place just at the hour. Full stop. So that when we see that when we say that a certain thing happened at a certain time, we really mean that it happened at that time in relation to our own position at that moment. Full stop. The relation to time of time to distance and the relation of immediate time to time is a whole or subjects in which people grow more and more interested. Full stop. Two interesting plays have been written round the idea that everything that is happened in the past is still in exists, comma, the point made by the place being that person who has a certain special sense highly developed can go back into the past and experience old past events. Full stop. But interesting as these ideas may be, comma, there is another and much more pleasure, much more usual, usually point view from which to consider time. Full stop. For all the all the general